What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I am back to review Tyler Perry's Sistas. I know it has taken me a while to be able to put this review up, but I had to re-record my review because the audio was messed up. So let's jump right into it, y'all. This is season 6, episode 1, okay? So this episode is titled Straight No Chaser, and let's go ahead and get right into it. First things first, you already know we left off last season with Maurice and Q. They were fighting over the gun, right? Boom. What happens? Maurice actually shot Q. Now, here's the thing. Calvin, he just happened to show up, okay? Because he followed Maurice there. And I'm just like, you followed him there? You couldn't have jumped out the car a little bit faster? Like, what is going on here? Because it sounds like you watched what went down and then you got out the car and said, hey, Maurice. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, I feel like this man had time to get a haircut because is it me or does his hair look a little bit different than what it normally does? It look a little better. Nonetheless, Maurice, he was getting on my nerves, y'all. Because him and Calvin are arguing because Q's laid out on the floor. And Maurice is like, don't call the police, don't call the police. Calvin is like, there's cameras everywhere. We have to call the police. Like, come on now. So Calvin, he ends up calling the police, right? Boom, we jump on over to Danny. Danny's at the bar, and she is clearly drunk. And I mean drunk, okay? The bartender, she's trying to get her keys from her so that she won't be a drunk driver. And Preston shows up. Y'all, I'm so sick of Preston. I'm sick of him. I used to love his character. But this whole episode right here made no sense for me when it comes to his character because he's over here talking about he's supposed to have dinner with old girl, right? Then he asks Danny yet again, does she want to meet her? Why do you continue to ask this woman this when she's told you at this point on like 3-4 different occasions that she doesn't want to meet this girl? She's told you to your face. She's told you over the phone. She's told you in multiple ways that she doesn't want to meet this girl. How many times are you going to ask her this? And what's more frustrating to me is that you can see that Danny is drunk. And you've been dating her for how long? You don't see the signs that clearly this is not just her being high on weed. This is her actually being drunk. You're not picking up on those cues, Preston. We got a real problem here. So then we have him deciding that he's just going to up and leave because she's giving him an attitude, right? For me, Preston is so frustrating because he's so busy worried about Danny meeting old girl that he don't even see how messed up Danny was right in his face, y'all. I mean, right in his face. This girl is clearly drunk. You didn't think to be like, Danny, are you okay right now? Because this is way more than what you usually are. But nonetheless, he walks away. So the bartender, she calls Andy. How'd she get Andy's number, y'all? Because it did not seem like Andy knew who that woman was, even though she was calling Andy as if she had access to Danny's phone. Nonetheless, she tells Andy, your homegirl's down here. She drunk as a skunk. Somebody need to come get her or something. Here goes Andy. Andy got to play phone tag with the rest of the girls because it couldn't just be her going to go get Danny, taking her home, and then the girls visiting this at a later time. Nope. We got to play phone tag. We got to call Sabrina. We got to call Karen so that everybody has to round up so that we can all go down to the bar. Keep in mind, both these women were already at home, okay? I don't think we needed all three to come down there, especially once we got to the bar later, and I feel like they did the bare minimum. Nonetheless, let's jump back on over to Q and Calvin. I'm going to be honest, y'all. This scene was very hard to watch, and that was the scene with the police officer talking to Q and, I'm sorry, not Q, Maurice and Calvin, because the police officer had questions. And honestly, when it came to Maurice going back and forth with the officer, at that point I tuned out. I could not take Maurice serious anymore. I completely zoned out of that scene. I was just like, let's move on. So let's go ahead and move on, y'all. Zach and Fatima. Now, you all know that I have done reviews on Zatima, and we know where that storyline is. So now I feel like we're going to have to watch Sistas catch up to where Zatima is. So according to the Sistas timeline, y'all, they're still together, okay? So Zach and Fatima, they're actually in bed. He asking her, like, how are you all cool with me having all these baby mamas and all the baby mama drama? And she tells him that she's cool with the truth. And it's something that they just have to deal with. Because honestly, what is she going to do about it? These are women who came before her. It's not like technically he went out and... he did kind of go out and cheat on her, but they weren't exactly official yet. But y'all know what I mean. Like, it's not like these are women that he's currently seeing. So I completely understand why she's saying, like, what can she do about Heather? Heather was from something so long ago, and him and Karen had history. So they start talking about how Heather's lifestyle is she doing right by Zach's son, all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, now you're concerned with the child? Because you've been focused on child support for the whole last half of the last season. That's the only topic you've had is child support, child support, child support. Oh, now you want to care about the child's well-being when that should have been your first thought. Okay. Nonetheless, according to him, he really wants to see how Heather is treating his son. So Fatima, she actually suggested that they get to know her. See for themselves how she is with the kid. And we shall see, hopefully, on this season, we get to see Zach interact with the child. Because I'm tired of the mention of a child and not seeing him. Like how we did Gary's children. Because y'all remember Gary had a special needs child that he left with his mother because that child no longer has a mom, because last time I checked, wasn't his mama in jail because we completely dropped that storyline? Yeah, Tyler, I'm judging you. Nonetheless, Zach and Fatima, they just kept talking. Honestly, I had zoned out on one part, and then I came back in when they were talking about how many sexual partners she had. So she said that she's had 7, and that, a lot of her relationships have been long-term, blah, blah. But she does say that she doesn't care about the women that came before her. But he already got 2 kids, and she basically cannot deal with another child on the way and another random woman. Now, I'm wondering now, because again, we've watched Zatima, y'all. How is this going to play out in the Sistas world once we get to the Connie situation? Or if that's even going to be addressed on Sistas, or will we have to wait until Zatima comes back? But y'all, let's go ahead and move along. So let's jump back on over to Danny. She's still at the bar. Next thing you know, here comes the 3 musketeers rolling in together, right? And I'm like, how convenient is it that all 3 of them were able to arrive at the same time, Tyler Perry? Or did they all, have to wait around until the 3rd person got there so that they could stroll in together? What was that? Nonetheless, they show up and they're just like, we waited around at your apartment after you left, but clearly you're at the bar. And here comes Karen. She's like, we just want to tell you how much we love you. Followed by each girl saying how Danny was right about their situation, because y'all recall on the last episode, she went in on each one of them about their own relationships and how they're so quick to call her out when their lives are actually in shambles as well. Now, y'all, I have no idea how this quickly turned into a let Andy vent and get her things off her chest, because I'm like, this was supposed to be about Danny. I get you want to make this a whole equal sister circle opportunity, but it's really not. Because we need to get to the meat and potatoes about Danny right now. Because your issues with Gary, honestly, can be put on the back burner. But no, she has to go ahead and clear this up, because you already know how Andy is when it comes to Gary. According to her, she's trying so hard to not, love him, but he makes her the happiest and all this stuff. Girl, this is not about you. Way to make a moment about you, Andy. Like, honestly, it was so disgusting to hear Andy talk about how at some point she's going to let Gary go, but it's not going to be today, especially considering all the things that she's went through with Gary. Like, it's really annoying and disgusting that Tyler has written it that Andy's going to stick it out with Gary, even though that man has been downright abusive in every way that you can imagine. Okay? Because he's definitely been emotional, physical, mental, all of that. But you going to sit up here and basically say she needs to stick it out with Gary because of what? Because he got money? Because he bought her a car and some designer things? It's not making sense. And honestly, Gary don't do nothing for Andy besides have sex with her. That's all he got. That's the only thing that Gary has. Because he don't take her out. We don't see that man do any romantic gestures besides the fact that, he bought her the car and all that stuff. No. He bought that because he was trying to get back with her. Since he has gotten in her good graces, baby, we have not seen nothing from Gary. Okay? Besides him sleeping in her bed. That's it. The only thing that I can agree on when it comes to Andy in this moment is that they all did try to come at her sideways. They tried to come at Danny sideways about her situation when they were really condemning her and they had no footing to stand on. Because at the end of the day, you are coming at her when she has current trauma that y'all are not even addressing, okay? Like, we completely have skipped over the fact that, what was that guy's name? I don't even know. The guy who disrespected her in her house. That right there only happened less than a week ago. But you want to sit up here and talk about her messing with Q, but it's only because of who Q is. If Q was not, the guy who got Sabrina to go to jail, y'all wouldn't even care. Be for real right now. So then you have Sabrina trying to chime in about her and Calvin and their back and forth. Baby, I was with Danny. I don't want to hear about that. We're done with Sabrina and Calvin. There doesn't need to be any more Sabrina and Calvin conversation. Now, y'all, let me get into Karen real quick. Because you have Danny saying, all right, and what about you, Mrs. Mom? Referring to Karen. Karen's response was, oh, I don't know. Girl, that was your moment to apologize for the way you came at her. That's honestly what we were waiting for. Not for you to tell us about how you about to go get some type of damn paternity test to figure out who your baby daddy is. Didn't you already tell us it was Zach? Oh, we're not running with that story no more because there's really a chance that it's Aaron? Oh, okay, girl. So then Karen goes on to tell the ladies about what's going on with Aaron and how the lady showed up at her salon, acting up. They out here arguing. He didn't want to tell her nothing of what was going on. And just for us to wrap this up in a bow and for her to say, because we love you, we're never trying to judge you, all this stuff. I'm like, what the is this? The whole point was y'all to get her up out of the bar so that way she can go home, sleep this off, and then y'all can have a real adult conversation when she's sober. No, that wasn't the thought process, because that definitely was mine. But okay, we don't have the same thought process. So, next thing you know, as they're getting up to leave, right? Here goes Andy. Oh, is that Preston over there? Girl, shut up. The whole point, again, was to get this woman out of the bar. So now Danny's like, yeah, I already saw him. He's with the girl that he's supposed to be marrying, after he had the black experience. And next thing you know, she stroll her ass on over there. The girls did not even attempt to really stop her. They just took a damn seat at the bar. And I'm just like, what do y'all want? A bowl of popcorn next? Like, at this point, I'm just like, so y'all gonna let y'all homegirl embarrass herself like this? What kind of friends are y'all again? So Danny goes over there to Preston's table. Now, I will say this. I laughed because Danny and Mindy are introducing themselves to each other. And, oh yeah, he told me about you a couple of days ago, blah, blah, blah. And Preston is over here trying to drink some water or drink something because now he feels like he's in the hot seat. Baby, you on a Tyler Perry production. Ain't no water in that glass. So then he reached for, I want to say it was a glass of wine, and he drinks that. But then I started to wonder, I wonder what that really is, because on TV sets, they don't use real, wine. So is it just colored water? Or what? What is in the cup? Because I'm surprised that you even had wine in that glass in front of you, Preston. Because Y'all know how Tyler is. Tyler will film something in a fucking diner and everybody's plate is empty, but they sure are using forks and knives on empty plates, pretending to cut stuff and put it in their mouth. We've seen it before. But I must say, my next question was, Preston, how you nervous, baby? You came knocking on Danny's door, calling her, popping up on her, saying, come meet Mindy. Can you meet Mindy? You want to meet her? You want to meet her? Can you meet her? How about you meet her? I think you should meet her. Can you meet her? You did all of this, and now you nervous, baby? Ain't no nervousness. Ain't nothing to be nervous about, because this is what you wanted, remember? Oh, it's just not in the way you thought it was going to go. Bet. Because how did you think it was going to go, Preston? Then Danny ends up noticing baby girl's ring. Said, oh, that ring looks real familiar, sis. Because that's the same one that the motherfucker bought me. Girl, you're getting my secondhand ring. The one I turned down. Baby, I fell out. Because Mindy really thinks she getting a prize out of Preston. Girl, you're not. You're really not. When I tell you Tyler knows how to make a good man turn ain't in no time, because Preston is looking crazy out here. Oh, then here come more bullshit from Preston, because Danny straight up asked her, baby girl, how does it feel to take my secondhand ring? And Preston gonna chime in saying, that's not what this is. What is it then? What is it, Preston? Because I don't think you can clean this up in any way, shape, or form that makes sense. I really don't. And then he had the audacity to hit Danny with the, well, you know what? Let's talk later. Baby. Because you kept requesting this. Let's settle this all right here. Like, I can't lie. I'm kind of here for this moment with Danny. Her friends was no help, but hell, it was entertaining for me. So he talking about he gonna take Mindy back to the hotel, and then he gonna pull up on Danny. Mindy, I don't know if you ain't never had no other D before. I don't know what's going on from the area that you from some hick town that don't nobody know you and they don't want to marry you or something. I don't know what's going on with you and your mental state, but baby girl, everything's not clicking upstairs. This man literally sat in front of you and said, I'm going to take you back to the hotel, but I'm going to go see her later so that we can have a private conversation. What private conversation, baby? Because last time I checked, we're engaged, so I need to be in and privy to the information. You don't think like that, Mindy? Because, again, something's not clicking upstairs. And then for her to have the audacity to say, I just want all this figured out before we get married. Are you dumb? What do you mean have all this stuff figured out before you get married? If you were sitting in front of the woman who he was recently just with, you not gonna have no questions for her to be like, so you're moving past him, right? So because we plan on getting married. So I just don't want to make it seem like, you know, me and you have any issues because this is my man now. That's the energy that you need to be on, Mindy. Baby, I was in 100% agreement with Danny when she was like, he ain't all that for him to be treating you like this. I absolutely agree with her. And also, she was right when she said, only a white girl's gonna tolerate this. Because y'all know, black women, you're not about to just put us up in a hotel while you go see your ex and do whatever else you got going on. Absolutely not, Preston. So Preston goes on to talk about how he's never been in love like this or whatever, never been in this type of situation. And you have Mindy over there eating it up. I mean, she literally put her hand on his shoulder, leaned in, and was like, and I just want him to be sure. Sure? Sis, you think that he's trying to figure out if he's sure about you? No. He's trying to be sure that this is the right decision of him marrying your tired ass because he can't really get what he wants. You're second choice, Mindy. And I don't think you realize that. So we flash back over to the ladies and they say they're going to go get Danny because it looks like, you know, things are getting a little weird over there. And Karen is like, all right, well, y'all can handle that because I got to go to the salon. Of course, she's been whining about going back to the salon for like 3 episodes now, because according to her, she can't trust Pam to lock up properly. And I'm like, well, why do you have her doing that? Why don't you get another hairstylist to lock up or something? Don't leave it to Pam to do it. Nonetheless, she heads out, and the girls head on over to Danny. Oh, wait, before they actually did that, Andy got a phone call from Gary she got a text message from Gary, which was him laid up in bed with just rose petals on his junk. So then she calls Gary. He tells her that they have some things to talk about, and basically he just wants to stay in her apartment. Because at this point, I promise y'all, Gary does not have a place to live. Because how is it that he constantly has to stay at Andy's? Nonetheless, she says that she gonna see him later, and they finally go over there to get Danny. So this whole little part to me was a little stretched out, because it took them too long to get her up out that seat, because she had to tell them in that moment what actually happened between the 3 of them that were sitting at the table. I'm just like, can y'all just scoop her up at this point, please? And then I was really annoyed that Preston was like, yeah, can y'all take her? And I'm just like, sir, you gotta go. I don't even want to hear from Preston no more. But let's go ahead and move on, because they finally get Danny out of the place. So now we have Aaron. He is at the outside of Karen's apartment. I'm surprised, because it seemed like the man has a key. The way he just be rolling and strolling into her apartment. Nonetheless, he called her or whatever, saying that he wants to talk to her. It's really important. And she's like, okay, well, I'm on my way to the salon, but I can circle back. Ma'am, could you just go to the salon first? Like, it's annoying me that we just can't get her to the salon. It really is. So what does Karen do next? She calls her homegirl. I was about to call her Angie. That is not her name. It's Pam. She calls Pam to be like, oh, did you lock up? Blah, blah, blah. Of course, she says, yes, I locked up. But keep in mind, she's doing her thing right now while she's on the phone trying to answer Karen's questions. And I was annoyed when Karen was like, what are you doing right now? Are you having sex right now? And I'm just like, you called her at what hour? At night? What else would she be doing? Painting her nails? Like, what's going on here? Why are you so surprised and shocked and giving a stank face? Alright, y'all, let's slide on over to the next scene, which was Calvin and Maurice. They get to Maurice's house, and Calvin is like, yo, you better hope that man is living, because other than that, you murdered him. And Maurice is giving attitude. He's like, I ain't got a hope for nothing. So Calvin is still saying, like, listen, you need to be worried, because at the end of the day, this can go bad either way. If the man lives, then he can also tell lies and say that maybe you had a gun, or, you know what I'm saying? Who knows what Q can lie and say? Because the man been lying since we met him. And then also, if this man dies, well, that means you have murder on your hands. And Maurice, I feel like, is going in one ear and out the other. Alright, so now we have Karen meeting up with Aaron. He talking about something. So can we go upstairs? She's like, no, we cannot. I said, yes, handle this outside, because that man don't need to be in your apartment no more. Now, y'all, what got me was the fact that he was look around talking about, so you want to have the conversation out here? Yeah, ain't nobody else out here, buddy. Alright, so at first he kind of didn't want to say nothing, because he's like, we were just building so much, and you were starting to open up to me and all this stuff. Sir, get to the point. We want you to tell us who this chick is. He finally says it, like, oh, I started dating her briefly, and it wasn't anything serious. So now Karen, she kind of gave him a side eye, like, oh, so you didn't think to mention that to me? And I'm like, well, Karen, technically he was never your man. And considering y'all never had any type of official title, he didn't have to mention it to you. Because last time I checked, you were pushing him away. You just started to feel Aaron after you wrote those stupid letters. Because before that, you were pushing Aaron away. You were annoyed by him. You didn't want to be near that man. Or are we forgetting this, Karen? So now Karen questions him, like, okay, so you're saying, oh, because this man said that she was crazy. Oh, girl was crazy. And she was like, okay, so you're saying that she's crazy just like your ex was crazy? And I'm just like, oh, now we want to talk about his ex-wife? Because I feel like y'all should have had some conversations about that ex-wife a long time ago. But nonetheless, he's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. And she's like, okay, well, do you gaslight women? And I'm like, gaslight? The question is, does he love bomb women? That's the question. So now we have Karen trying to get to the bottom of who Aaron actually is. You know, what type of person he is. Like, is he just making women fall for him? And then he's doing all types of crazy stuff behind their back. And according to him, this woman just happened to fall in love with him. Like, if we're being honest, I feel like we ain't getting no meat and potatoes out of this conversation. I feel like this is just the beginning, and they have to revisit this conversation later. At this point, she tired. She don't want to hear no more. She tells him that, you know what, it's time for you to leave. I'm like, finally, let's go ahead and wrap this on up, because we're not getting answers right now. All right, so after this man walks away, she calls Pam yet again. And Pam ends up sending her the photo. And in the photo, she can see that the curlers are still on. So now she's going to go ahead and head to the salon. Now, I can't lie. I don't like the storyline that Pam left the curling irons on. So that's what started the fire. Because to me, there's not going to be any, like, resolve when it comes to her and Karen. I feel like Karen is always going to have an issue with Pam. So I'm like, is this Pam's exiting season? Because I don't see Karen being like, it was a mistake, Pam didn't mean it, when her whole damn shop is in flames. You know what I'm saying? Because we literally see Karen pull up to the salon. It's completely smoky. There's a fire. And her first instinct was to run in there, y'all. And I guess try to put the fire out herself. Because she runs into her little back office, tries to get the fire extinguisher. It doesn't even work, and she collapses in the building, the burning building. And I'm like, you didn't think to call the police? Like, you didn't think to call 911? Something. Come on now. But that is where the show left off, y'all. Fingers crossed this season will be better than season 5, because honestly, I hated season 5. So hopefully we get some progress in this season. Let me know what y'all thought about this first episode. Are y'all still hanging in there with Sistas? Please let me know in the comments. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe to my channel, y'all. And I will talk to you in the next one. Bye, guys.